Hey, what's going on, guys? It is Caleb, and today I'm bringing you guys the third, or not the third, but the final. This is going to be the sixth video in this Introduction to Objects 1 series right here. Little group of lessons right now. This is going to be our last video before we get into Objects 2. I will be making a project video between, hopefully. I won't be making it tonight. I'll be making it probably tomorrow. But if you're not already in full screen, make sure to go in full screen. Subscribe for more if you're not already subscribed to me, because my channel is awesome and I just try my hardest to put out good content for you guys, and I do listen to you. So if without you guys I wouldn't be here, and hopefully you guys are kind of learning stuff from these tutorials. But stay tuned, because we are going to be exploring not only with just the rest of JavaScript. The HTML videos are going to kick back up, along with the well, that does cover CSS within the HTML. From there, I'm thinking next series is going to be jQuery. So it's going to be super easy, especially now that we all know JavaScript. jQuery is going to be a breeze. It'll be super quick. Probably get that stuff done and out within a week, probably 2 weeks tops. But enough of that. Let's go ahead and get started. What are objects for? Objects provide us with a way to represent real-world virtual things. We can do this by storing information inside the object's properties. There are two basic ways to make objects, and we learned about these ways back in the previous exercises and lessons. The first one was literal notation, where we use var name equals open curly braces and then a little semicolon, and this would specify an object. And then we would use the keys and the not only keys, but we would assign values like the age. We would say age equals 12, and that object will now have a value named age that was assigned a 12. So whenever we wanted to call that, say we had a dog or a person object, and we would say person.age equals 12. So we also learned how to use constructor notation. We use the keyword new, and you recall this by saying, well, var dog equals new object, and that would call the default object constructor, and that would create a new object for us. But remember, doing things constructor notation was a lot more time consuming, and it was a lot more tedious because we had to individually add our ages to them. So we've given the example in literal notation to refresh your memory. Instructions: make a new object Spencer2 with the same properties but using the constructor notation and the object constructor. So let's go ahead and just reset the code right here, and then we can go ahead and see var Spencer, and they're using literal notation here, and they're saying age is 22 and the country is the United States. Well, to make a new Spencer2 object using constructor notation, we're just going to go ahead and say var, and then we're going to say Spencer2, or whatever your variable name is. Hopefully you put Spencer2, and we're going to create a new object. Not only that, we're going to say, let's see, what are we getting here? And just ignore that little triangle right now, but not only that, we're going to say Spencer 2.age equals 22. Also, we're going to say Spencer, I want you to live in America. So your country is going to be set to United States. States. There, United. Okay, there we go. And that looks pretty good. And wait, what am I doing? I'm confusing myself. Blah. There we go. All right, so make sure to have semicolons after those. And that looks pretty darn good. Let's go ahead and save and submit. And we get it correct. So let's move on to the next lesson. And let's reset our code. So properties. Properties are like variables that belong to an object and are used to hold pieces of information. Properties can even be accessed in two different ways. Remember, we use the dot notation, which is object name dot property name, which is very handy, and a lot of people do use dot notation. But remember, there is also bracket notation with the object name, open bracket, and then whatever the property name within quotation marks. Remember, don't forget the quotes, because that's very important. And we a lot of times we use bracket notation over dot notation whenever you're trying to index something. So whenever you're trying to get a value from an array list or something from an array, most of the time it's dealing with an arrays, you will use the bracket notation to get the 0th element or the 10th element or the 100th or however big your array list is, or whatever element you really want. So in the editor, we brought back our Snoopy object with a species and a dog or in an age property. The instructions are save Snoopy species into the global variable species using dot notation. Okay, that'll be easy. Save Snoopy's age into the global variable age using bracket notation. Okay. Well, to do this, it's fairly simple. All we have to do is just say var species equals Snoopy dot species, and that will refer to Snoopy's species. Now all we have to do with age is var age equals Snoopy, and it wants us to use bracket notation this time, and then we just put age in little quotes there, and age is better written dot notation, but we're just going to ignore it for right now because it wanted us to use bracket notation. Let's go ahead and save and submit our code, and we get the correct answer, so it's all good. So way to go. Now let's reset this code and see what we get. Methods. Methods are like functions that are associated with a particular object. They are especially helpful when you want to either 1. Update an object's properties, or 2. Calculate something based on an object's properties. Here we have included a circle object with a radius property representing the circle's radius. We have implemented an area function which calculates the circle's area. Notice that we have used math.pi to get the pi value. Okay, cool. So define the method perimeter that calculates the perimeter of a circle. Okay. So this is going to take us back a little bit, and we have to sit here and think, well, how do we get a perimeter of a circle? And if you recall correctly, it was 2 times math.pi times the radius. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And if I'm not 100% sure. Yes, it was, because the formula for perimeter of a circle is 2 times pi times the radius. So that looks pretty good. Now let's go ahead and get to defining our method. So we're just going to say function perimeter, and then we're going to pass in a radius. So function perimeter, and then radius. radius. Yeah, okay, that's right. Radius. And we're going to return. And I like I said, I like to put my things within quotation marks. And we're going to do 2 times, and we're going to do it just like they did up here, math.pi. And pi is a constant. And we haven't learned about constants yet, but that just means that it's a variable that hasn't changed. That's why whenever you see something that's all capitalized, like so, pi, p, and I are both capitalized, so it just represents a constant variable that's pretty much saying, hey, my value is never going to change. I'm always going to be equal to 3.14679, whatever other trillions of numbers that come after that. But we're not done yet. We still have to multiply our output by our radius. So 2 times math.pi. And now we're going to multiply that by our radius. So we should get something that looks like this. radius is radius. There we go. Radius. Okay, so now we have this, and if we just go ahead and delete that unnecessary semicolon, that looks pretty good. Pretty good, I say. Pretty good. Let's go ahead and save and submit. And we get the green light because we are just boss. So let's go ahead and start the next lesson. Alright, so now if we just go ahead and reset the code. Customizing constructors. In addition to basic object constructor, we can define our own custom constructors. These are helpful for 2 reasons. We can assign our object properties through parameters we pass in when an object is created. Also, we can give our objects methods automatically. These both work to save us time and lines of code when we make objects. The instructions are, notice that without the constructor, it takes 3 lines of code to make the Harry Potter, an object that represents a Harry Potter book 1. Then in line 7, we introduce a constructor for a book object, where we pass in the length and the author properties as parameters. Use this constructor to make The Hobbit, a book by J.R.R. Tolkien, in a length of 320 pages. Notice that by using the constructor, you can do this only in 1 line instead of 3. So this just goes to show how flexible JavaScript is when it comes to creating new things. So what it wants us to do here is use this new book constructor for us. So if we wanted to, we just say var The Hobbit, and that's Hobbit equals new book, And this book is going to have 320 pages, if I'm not mistaken. And it's going to have J.R.R. Tolkien, or whatever this guy's name is, Tolkien. We paste that in there for us right quick. Not only do we have that, but now that's pretty much all we need. And that looks pretty good, so let's go ahead and try and save and submit our code. And we get the green light. So we completely finished off our first little series of objects. Stay tuned for the second series of objects, Objects 2, coming here pretty soon, probably tomorrow, honestly. Alright guys, if this video helped you guys out, or if you got any questions or comments, or if you're stuck on something, you know, just feel free to leave a comment down below. Don't be scared, just ask. And until next time guys, I've been Caleb, and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, have a nice night. Peace.